Today, I'm going to share with you a different type of video. I'm going to share with you an entire day of training. It happened to be Monday this week. It's the first day of pre-competition training, which is a 4-week cycle leading up to the Masters CrossFit Games. And I'm just going to act as a bit of a commentator as we work our way through my training day. Like I'll skip forward during the parts where I'm rowing, like things that wouldn't be very exciting. But I'm going to share with you insights, strategies, little tips, the things I'm doing, why I'm doing them, as we work our way through the video. So let's jump in. First thing I do when I get in the gym often is I grab my Rollga, which is this roller, and I work on my back a little bit. I had just come back from a week-long backpacking trip, road trip, so I needed to get warmed up a bit, open up the body. Always doing this stuff against the rig to open up my hips, get my legs a bit warm because we're going to be doing some jumping, and we're waiting for class to finish so that we can get started in our session. I always hang from a bar, doing a dead hang at the beginning of a session as well. I do the 90-90 quite a bit to open up my hips, open up my wrists. World's greatest stretch, of course, is always part of the mix. And it's time to get ready for toes to bar and pull-ups, which are part of the first session in today's workout. So just kind of opening up my body, getting my shoulders moving, getting a feel for the bar. You know, I could do toes to bar, just ice cold, no big deal, but I kind of need to do some rotation with my shoulders to get them ready for chest to bar pull-ups. We'll be doing butterfly chest to bar pull-ups today, which adds just that little bit level of getting those shoulders warm. We got some wall balls, getting a feel for a wall ball again. And we have heavy dumbbell snatches. I know this is a great angle with the camera, but I'm just feeling the 50-pound dumbbell before I get the 70-pounder out. Got the rower out. The rower is going to be used in this first workout as well. Think about 200 meters on that rower to get things going. Those little bumps on my back are mosquito bites. I was on a backpacking trip in Colorado and got murdered by mosquitoes last week. So that was real fun. And here's a couple of just warm-ups with the 70-pound kettlebell. Not fun to get warm on that. Does not feel great. Couple of box jump overs. We'll use all of these elements and I'll share with you the workout once we get going, but I basically just need to touch everything. And now we're gonna jump into this workout. It's 6 rounds total. Round 1 is in a 3-minute window. We've got 20 chest to bar pull-ups, 20 wall balls, and as many calories on the rower as possible in the remaining time. So this is just a no-brainer, unbroken set of chest to bar pull-ups. And I'll be unbroken on all my sets of everything in today's first start. That's really what we're going for. We call this kind of the hot start. And the intention of this workout is to mix in some gymnastics, some overall movement, and try to be as consistent as possible through the rounds. So, you know, ideally having round 1 be similar to round 2, similar to round 3, 4, 5, 6 in its overall effort. I will tell you that I came out a bit hot on this, and I was definitely a bit stronger in my overall effort in round 1 than I was on round 6. But that was the intent, that was the effort. Obviously, when we're doing pull-ups into wall balls, we're going to feel ourselves, we're going to feel that push-pull stimulus. And I was actually pretty upset taking a look at the clock. I was like, oh man, we have so much time on this rower. And I took an extra second there to adjust the camera. That's just, when you're documenting what you're doing, that's just part of life. So you got to move the camera from time to time. So we're just going to go ahead and move quickly through rowing. Nothing really exciting to see here. I believe within about maybe a minute and a half to a minute and 40-second window, I got myself somewhere around 35 calories. I was rowing hard. I was rowing about a 1400, I believe. We rested 1 minute and we moved right into 20 toes to bar, 14 dumbbell snatches with the 70-pound dumbbell into max box jump overs. On toes to bar, the only limiting factor that I find myself experiencing is my grip. So this bar at this gym, none of these bars are very grippy. They're actually pretty slippery. So if I do get a good grip, a good handle on that bar, it's really nice. And so I will do everything I can. I'll chalk up my grips as much as I can. I'll try to get a nice big overhand false grip on that bar so that I really stick to that bar. My core is rarely my limiting factor. Normally it's just, is the bar slippery, and then that's hard to hang on to. But I'll tell you, going from toes to bar to the dumbbell snatches, from grip to grip, was actually fairly spicy here. We're also doing two bending movements back to back. So you've got that toes to bar where you're bending in half, and you have the dumbbell snatches where you're bending in half. These became, really challenging. But once I got to, we're doing 14 total again. Once I got to rep 9, I was like, we're home free. We got this. I always started with my left arm, which is my weaker arm. So I started with my left arm for rep number 1. So that by the time I was getting tired by rep number 14, I would just go ahead and, be able to just rep that out with that right hand, no problem. Now it's to box jump overs. On these, with the remaining time, what I'm really trying to do is just be a machine. As we speed it up, we just see that I'm not taking a lot of breaks here. Again, this is the second round of 6 total rounds of this workout. I didn't record all 6. I actually recorded round 1 and 2, and then round 5 and 6. So you could see kind of the difference. You'll see as we move into the next piece, I'm much sweatier, and I definitely have some fatigue building in. That was a really clean way of me doing those box jumps. That was really machine-like. Now, we are in round 5. Between the last chunk and here, we've done another round of chest to bar, wall balls, rowing, then toes to bar, dumbbell snatches, box jump overs. Now we're back to chest to bar for the 3rd time. And again, my ultimate goal in this effort was to go unbroken on all movements. It didn't feel good, but going unbroken was just something that I wanted to build confidence in my head, knowing that I can always do 20 more chest to bar, 20 more toes to bar, regardless of the fatigue level, regardless of how terrible it feels, I can get another 20 done always. I like to do the same thing with wall balls. 20 reps is just, I remember when I first started CrossFit, 20 reps with a wall ball was insane. It would floor me. It would kill me every time. And now 20, wall balls is just like, yeah, I could do 20, after running after sprinting a mile. I mean, within reason. Maybe that's an extreme example, but unbroken on the wall balls. I wanted to set it down. In fact, I shorted one of these here on this 5th round, so I ended up doing 21, I believe, because I didn't want to have y'all watching me do a short rep on this. And here we go. Now I move the camera. Not taking a lot of extra time there, but I'm going to get on the rower. And I'll just show you some actual pulls on this rower. I'm not pulling 1,400 here. I'm pulling about 1,000 for the first probably half of the row, and then I pick it up to 1,200, 1,300 towards the latter part of the row. But this is by far the worst part of this particular part of the workout was this row. You've got all this fatigue. You just feel like as you come forward, it becomes hard to breathe. This is not a great row. I'm super fatigued row. If I was to critique this row, I would like to reach my arms much more forward, closer to the machine, get much bigger pulls, driving with my legs. But I was under significant fatigue. And, I had a goal in mind on how many reps I wanted to get. I don't remember what it was, maybe 20, 25 or something like that. And I got very close if I did not hit that number. So just working our way through that. It was really, really gnarly at this point. And now we move on to the toes to bar. This is the last chunk. This is round 6. And everything is fatigued. Grip is fatigued from the 60 chest to bar that we've done. And this is, reps 41 through 60 of toes to bar. All the dumbbell snatches, all the rowing. There's just no way to hide in this particular workout. And again, it was 3 minutes of work, 1 minute of rest. So there's really not any rest. I found myself writing down my score, looking at the clock and having 20 seconds left to go. So I'm cursing the programmer here, which is me, behind the screen. I'm the programmer behind my desk, and then the guy out there doing the work. It's another version of me having to do the work that I program on the screen. But again, my ultimate goal on the movements was to just make sure I was moving all the time, going unbroken on the pull-ups, on the wall balls, on the toes to bar, on the dumbbell snatches. Not gonna lie, didn't feel good here. But there's no way once I get to this point that I'm setting down the dumbbell. And I think this is something that you can do in training to teach yourself that you can push a little bit harder, that there's always just a little more that you could do. If you train like this, almost destroyed my camera with the dumbbell there. But if you train like this and you can compete like this, there's always another level. Now, because I went unbroken on toes to bar and I went unbroken on dumbbell snatch, I'm absolutely dying on these box jump overs. It gets better, but now I decide I'm going to go in sets of 2. So I'm over, step down, over, step down, and I take extra time here. These got really gross. If you're a Boulder athlete and you did this workout, you know what's going on here. But I don't even mind the kids walking by. I'm not upset. Boys, go ahead and walk by. Doesn't bother me. I'm dying right now. I'm just begging the clock to go faster. And then I get to a certain point where I'm like, well, I really, at the end, I want to get a certain amount of reps. So I pick it up a little bit here. Just want to make sure that I get enough reps at the end. But it was really gnarly. And again, I like that endurance gymnastics. It's just classic triplet CrossFit style opener to kick off the day. And then, now that we're nice and warm, very, very warm, and of course, I've had a drink, I've got some element in my system, recovered for probably 5 minutes, I'm going to start warming up with the barbell for some snatches. In fact, the program called for a couple of snatch drops into a couple of SOTS presses. And then we move into this complex, which is 3 snatch pulls. Fairly lightweight here. This is all just trying to find yourself in the best positions. And then we move into hang high, can't even say it, hang high pulls. This is what we're going for there. Now we're doing snatch high pulls from the floor. We go through these. I think it was 3 sets of 3 of these. And honestly, after that bit of conditioning that we did, that got the heart rate going, just that combination. Then we go with snatch pulls at 110%, I believe, of our 1 rep max. Then we move into every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. We did a squat snatch into an overhead squat. I believe this was at 75% of our 1 rep max. And it's just interesting. Just what we're going for is getting in good positions through those pulls off the floor. And then when we're actually snatching, now we're adding time under tension with the overhead squat.
I literally forgot to press record to record front squats. But 5 sets of 5. Just imagine in your head what 5 sets of 5 front squats looks like with 90 seconds of rest in between. So visually, there. All right, that segment is done. Now we move on to overhead squats and ring muscle ups.
This was a workout from the Legends Championship in 2021, I believe, in San Diego. So what this workout is it's 10 overhead squats, guys at 135 pounds, into 2 ring muscle ups. And then you've got 8 overhead squats. It goes 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 on the overhead squats, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the ring muscle ups. And in competition, I'm fresh and I feel like I could really push a workout like that. Now, this is training. And although it is a test from an actual event that I competed in, an event that was at the Legends Championship, those same programmers for the Legends Championship are programming the CrossFit Games for Masters athletes this year. So going to be kind of practicing and testing some of those workouts. This is still training. And so I had a specific goal in mind on this. I didn't have a time goal. I knew that on the overhead squats, I wanted to go unbroken. And there is a significant amount of fatigue that's built up from training this far in the morning session. So I know I'm not breaking any records. So it's not even what I'm trying to go for. What I'm trying to go for is to have a higher heart rate, feel that high heart rate, and approach each set sooner than I want to. Have you ever had that when you're doing a workout? You want to rest another 10 seconds, but you just know it's not going to get any better during those 10 seconds. So you might as well just go. And that was my goal in this workout. I knew once I got to the set of 8 and the set of 10 ring muscle ups, I was not going unbroken. In competition in 2021, I did go unbroken the whole time on the ring muscle ups, although it was quite a gamble. It was very, very challenging. But here, I'm looking to not necessarily going broken. I'm going to go 2, 4, 6 unbroken. And on the 8, I'm going to break it up once. And on the 10, I'm probably going to break it up twice, depending on how I feel. And I pretty much knew that I was going to feel not amazing. So now we're onto the ring muscle ups, trying to get a good backswing so that I have lots of momentum as I'm coming up. Trying to show solid lockout on ring muscle ups, even though I'm in training. Like, I don't ever want to short a ring muscle up when I'm practicing, in the event that I do something like that, or to develop a bad habit when I'm in competition. So here I am, heart rate is through the roof. I don't want to pick up the bar. And I know that it's time to pick up the bar. And when you go from like snatching to front squats back to snatching again, it always feels like I got to kind of warm up the snatch again. So if you noticed, when I did my 10 overhead squats, I power snatched it, and then I squatted. When I did my 8 overhead squats, I almost squat snatched it, and then I continued into the overhead squats. And then I think I just did 6 there, and I squat snatched it, because now the snatch is back. We're feeling good again about the snatch. We don't always feel great about the snatch. We're just going to let myself chalk up here. Tighten up those grips, shake it off. This is a big set for me at this point. I've got 6 to do, and I feel pretty fatigued. Again, trying to make sure I get a nice lockout. What I'm waiting for up here, I started to develop a little bit of a swing in those rings, so swinging back and forth. And if I go right into the next ring muscle up, like ring muscle up number 4, I'm actually going to create more swing. So if I just wait on those rings, wait for them to come forward, I'll lean backwards and I'll negate the swing, and I'll be back to a nice rhythm. So I don't pause up there to rest, never pausing to rest in that support position. If anything, I'm waiting for the rings to move forward so I can lean back and drop, and then cancel out the meta swing that I've created. The overhead squats are now getting much, much easier. I think we're at 4 overhead squats. So my rest on the overhead squats is just not long. I can do 4 overhead squats all day in my head. It's just I don't really want to go back to the rings because I want more time. But that's the nature of this workout. The deeper you go into the overhead squats, obviously, the bigger the amount of ring muscle-ups you've got to do. So now I'm moving over here. I'm looking to recover a bit, feeling pretty tired, but I know I'm going to break up these ring muscle-ups. 4 and 4, as I think what I was planning in my head. Or actually, I'm sure I was probably planning 5 and 3. So I don't really remember what I did here. Let's see. So there's one. They actually felt pretty good. They felt better than I thought they would. I was just definitely not looking to max out. I have some PTSD from some of the ring muscle up stuff from our qualifiers this year. Both quarterfinals and semifinals had some of the hardest ring muscle ups we've ever done in any kind of a qualifier, just given the work that was done before the ring muscle ups. So I might have just this little bit of hesitation, like I will not max out ring muscle ups, because then I'm just down to singles. And I did that in some of the qualifiers. I felt it. So now I know I've got 3 to go. Just, 3 is not that big of a deal. I know I can get 3 no matter what. And it's rarely the press out that's the issue. It's normally just, as my core gets tired, I lose that ability to pop myself up onto the top of the rings. Now we're at 2. I couldn't go slower back to the chalk right now. I just know there is not any kind of a hurry for me to get on those rings. I believe I go 4-3-3 to play it safe. I mean, my momentum looks good. I want to tell myself, dude, you could have done 6 and 4, but I'm just being safe in this workout. Couple of breaths. I know I can do 3 any time of the day. So that's what I do. Gently coming down from the rings so as to not make them swing in the air. I don't want to chase swing on rings, even though they got a little swing to them. Don't wait too long. Let's just get these last 3 out of the way so I can be done with this training session. And I will tell you that my triceps were actually sore yesterday, and they're sore today. This was 2 days ago, this training session. So I say that the press out is not that big of a deal, which is true, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt a little bit. So that is session 1. At this point, it's time to go home, eat some food, chill out, relax, get some work done, and then move on to session 2. Second session in the garage. It is hot in the garage, I'll tell you that. It's hot and humid. It poured rain for a little bit, so the humidity is super high, and it's probably 95 degrees. I have the fan going, and that'll be helpful, but I'm also going to keep my shirt on during this training session. I never have a shirt on when I'm training, but when I'm in the garage and I'm sweating all over the place, my stall mats get super slippery, and I just don't have the liberty to, have these be slippery. It's just dangerous, so I don't want to do it. I'm changing my shoes, and we are going to get into the workout, which is echo bike and burpees. This is super duper challenging as we get into it. So we start off with 6 calories on the echo bike as fast as possible. This is within a 30-second window, and then we rest for 90 seconds. May have rested for a minute. Just think that there. But now it's max burpees. And so I've got a clock up in the corner next to the rings, out of sight. There's a clock up there, so I can kind of glance up at it. And this is just line-facing burpees. Nothing crazy. So in a second session, I'm often looking to build the engine a bit more. I'm trying to do, this is actually max effort work. So on Monday nights, we do some max effort work, and that's what's going on here. In 30 seconds, this is very painful. This would be a very red workout, as we label the workouts in Boulder Athlete: blue, green, yellow, orange, red. This is red. This should be max out. This should be absolutely awful, but it's only for 30 seconds. So that's what we're going for. Again, 6 cals on the echo bike, max burpees in the remaining time. And I got 7 every round. I think I got 7 every round. But I sort of set the precedence in round 1, and then you just got to hold it, right? That's just kind of what you do. There are dudes that can certainly tear the handles off that echo bike. I was getting it up to probably about 900 or 1,000 watts before hopping off. You see my clock back there. And in these second sessions, I was saying earlier, I'm looking to build capacity while minimizing damage, right? I'm not clanging and banging barbells a ton. I don't have a ton of ring muscle ups, a ton of pull ups. I'm trying not to create a ton of wear and tear on my joints during these second sessions. Today just happens to be one of those days where I'm getting off of a machine. A lot of second sessions have a lot of machine work. But the burpees, line-facing burpees, you're not beating yourself up. You're just, I don't know, you're just spiking your heart rate in a terrible way. What you're not able to see, because I cut this video up, you don't need to see, the minute and a half of rest or the minute of rest, is me sort of keeling over outside of the garage, sweating profusely all over my driveway. That's what I'm doing. If I sweat all over the floor, I'm just going to slip, and I don't want to slip, because after this 5 sets, I switch it up, and I start with burpees, and I finish on the echo bike. You guys tell me, what would be worse? Starting on the echo bike or finishing on the echo bike in a 30-second sprint? So again, what I did here, 6 cals on the echo bike, and I got 7 burpees every round. This is the last round. I think it was actually 6 rounds of each. Sweating everywhere. But my floor is fairly dry. Just got to learn to work smarter, not harder in the garage. There's a quick glance at the clock, make sure that I get through it, and I beat the clock. There's my 7. Ooh, that was awful. Now, it's 6 line-facing burpees into max effort on the echo bike, 30-second time cap. I almost wish it was like 10 calories. I mean, 10 burpees. I once I started doing it, I was like, I got to the bike with way too much time. I'm actually a little bit sad about it. But I'm trying to just hammer that bike. This is such efficient and effective training. Watching the clock, looking down, knowing my calories. Wrote down the calories every round. When you have a minute and a half of rest, you can get fairly recovered. It's pretty awesome to be able to go back and just hammer that bike after that amount of rest. And again, towards the end, I'm just staring at the clock. That's the only way to do it. Trying to keep those burpees very efficient. And again, these aren't the most explosive burpees you can do. It's just moving your body, getting it going, taking up some of the time, but being speedy and intentional, getting on that bike and just hammering it when you don't want to. If you're a dad and you have kids, this is just standard operating procedure. They need to stand in front of the bike in order to get all of that air. It's kind of fun. I was dying at this point. I'm going to be honest. I was dying, ready to be done. But I'm a guy that follows instructions. You know, once whatever it says I'm supposed to do, I'm doing it. Watching the clock, and it's time to go. This is the stuff that you don't see on, YouTube. It's not sexy. It's just work. You know, you want to build an engine, want to build your ability to recover quickly. To be a CrossFit Games champion, you have to work. There's no way around it. I remember the pain. Is not happy. You ever have that moment when you can't even push the reset button on the Echo bike because you're too tired, but you have to write down your score because you can't remember? So here's the Echo bike. I got 9. I was getting 8 and 9s on the Echo bike on this, and I've got one more round to go. Important to write down your scores, right? It's just something that you do. I went out there into the driveway to sweat all over the driveway, and this is the last round. Last round, best round. Like, you might as well hammer it. I know I got 9 calories on this last round because it was the last round. I didn't waste a second to get in the burpees. Glance at the clock. Because you can always push it. You can always push it hard. And then feel all the death. I just went outside and I laid down for a while. I did not want to get up. I had more to do, which I'm about to show you. But this is what it feels like to just lay out there in the Alabama heat. So what we move on to from here is some reinforcement work. On Mondays, we squat and we pull. That's kind of our primary directives, although there is some variance to that, of course. So this is the reinforcement work for squatting and pulling. I've got a 150-pound sandbag, and I'm doing 10 reps of sandbag squats. I've got a little bit of a lean there that I'd like to stay a little bit more vertical. And I believe I do get more vertical as I progress on here. Then it's L-sit rope climb. My ceilings are 14 feet. So I really do need to sit on the floor, and I can't climb higher than that knot on the rope. It's too thick. It gets weird there. So it's not perfect. It's okay, but it's not perfect. And then 8 double kettlebell front squats. These were surprisingly difficult, much more difficult than I imagined, although I knew they would be tough when I programmed them. But we are really going after that frontal plane on the squat, with the sandbags in front. We did front squats earlier in the day, and then the kettlebells here. Really a lot of front plane work here on the squats. Again, 10 more of these. Sandbag squats are really interesting when you do them in the bear hug position. They're very doable. Like it's not as hard. It's only a 150-pound squat. Like if you had a 150-pound front squat, it's just not that big of a deal. It's not easy, but it's not that big of a deal. So the sandbag just adds that complexity of not being able to breathe. You're having to hold something in a particular position, and it's pulling you forward. Then we move into the L sit. This is also complicated by the fact that we just did that sandbag hold. So we've got some arms, some biceps involved in that sandbag hold. And then we move into that L sit rope climb. Now we've got these kettlebell front squats. And I will tell you, if you want to feel like you're holding 1,000,000 pounds in this position, these are 72-pound kettlebells. Again, this is under 150 pounds in a front squat, just not that heavy of a front squat. But with an odd object, it really, really messes with you. And we've got one more set, and then we're done for the day of sandbags, rope climb, and kettlebells. And I'll tell you that the way this worked out, it was you do these 10 sandbag squats, you rest for 30 seconds before you go to the L-sit rope climb, and then you rest 30 seconds before you go to those kettlebell front squats. Although it is a superset situation, you have that slight built-in rest for just a little bit of recovery because the L-sit is a high skill movement. And these are not easy movements when done all together in combination. So want to be smart, have that 30 seconds in there to allow for that transition. Also, I mean, when you finish the squats, you might as well put the sandbag away because you're already holding it. And that's where my sandbag goes. Glance at the clock, make sure I know my time. I can never remember if L-sit rope climbs, if the rope is supposed to be between our legs or on the outside of our legs. So I did this last one with the rope on the side of my legs just to practice that. I'd love to have L-sit rope climbs. They're kind of fun. I mean, if we're going to be legless, we might as well do L-sits, right? Right here, I will tell you that I'm pretty excited that this is the last set. And after this, I'm going to go in and eat dinner, eat all the food, and recover. And I'm not going to lie, it's Wednesday now. I am a little bit sore from all of the training. A little bit sore. So that is the overall training day for a CrossFit Games Masters athlete training for the CrossFit Games. This was definitely a challenging day of training. Each segment had its most challenging parts. You just go from one thing to the next to the next. It's not like I look at the whole day and I think, wow, what a crazy training day. I just sort of think like, well, what's first? We got pull-ups, wall balls, and rowing. And then the toes to bar dumbbell snatches, that whole thing. And then what's next? We do some snatch work. I don't even think about the components of the snatch work. I just think we've got some snatch work, then some front squats. Then we have that overhead squat ring muscle up stuff. That's kind of fun. That's the first session. I don't even think about the second session during the first session. I just make sure I get home, I get recovered, I get some work done, get fueled up, and then move on to the second session where I just think, okay, echo bike and burpees, I can do that. And then after that, sandbag squats, rope climbs, kettlebell squats. I only have 3 sets of that. So I play these games in my head to just tell myself, like, it's just doing the work. It's like creating this video. I have to set up the mic. I have the camera's right there. Got to make sure the video is ready. Got to figure out the technology so I can switch back and forth. I can start and stop and not bore you guys to death by like watching the whole video. So how do I fast forward? Making sure all those components are there and then click record and just get going. The purpose of pre-competition training is to really continue to build my overall capacity, my overall volume. Everything's going to be a bit heavier during this season as we prepare for the CrossFit Games. This is somewhat unsustainable training. Like going at this level of volume is a bit higher than what I normally do. But for the next 4 weeks, I'll do this. And then along the way, as we work towards the games, there will be a couple of simulation weekends or a couple of days where we're simulating having multiple events in those 2 days, like a Friday and a Saturday, and then a couple weeks later, like a Monday and a Tuesday. Again, just getting our body ready for this idea that at the games, we might have 2 or 3 events every day for 4 days. So we want to get warm, cool down, recover, get warm, cool down, recover multiple times. It's a fun season. It's one of my favorite seasons of the year. I love working hard. I also love just grinding it out in the winter when you're just kind of building capacity or you're working on overall strength or you're working on higher skills. I love all of it, honestly. And if I didn't, I don't think I could do this sport. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments, leave them in the comments. I'm happy to respond. If you need help in any way, reach out. I'm always happy to answer questions. If you head to my Instagram profile, my phone number is in the profile. You're happy to send me a direct message there. If it's something you want to share that wouldn't be appropriate for comments, that's totally cool too. Anyway, guys, your best days are ahead of you. Get bolder, not older. See you next time.